I hope that you're well, you're doing well. This is a wonderful day that we are going to have the introduction session on addiction. This is our AA meeting session that we are going to have today. So as an organization, we have been having the AA meetings, but we've never been able to do a live stream of the same. But today, we decided, why not? So much welcome. My name is Eliud Gugi, and I am a counseling psychologist. I'm also the founder, Newness Counseling Organization. Today, we are going to look at the introduction to these AA meetings so that we can be able to understand addiction in a broader way, in a way that addiction is layerly, and I say layerly, discussed. Because at the Newness Counseling Organization, we usually use a very different approach when it comes to mental health crisis, and also when it comes to issues relating to addiction and all that. And we like not only relying on the theoretical aspects of mental health disorders and addiction and other life crises. We do not like limiting ourselves to that. We like going a step ahead to really understand the reality and exactly what is happening under the waters, what is happening that is causing the problem that a client is experiencing. That is what we'll be talking about today, so that we can be able to understand a few things here and there concerning addiction. And I find most people in most organizations and rehabs using only the theoretical part of trying to heal addiction. And someone would ask, what is really addiction? And that is where I'm telling you that we do not really like limiting ourselves to the definitions of addiction, because when you ask someone, they'll just tell you addiction is a disease. Yeah? Addiction is a disease, and that's it. But we want to go beyond the disease. We want to ask ourselves, what is behind the disease? Can we be able to find something that is lying behind just the word disease? Because personally, with my research, I have come to realize that actually addiction is a symptom of a disease. Addiction is not the disease. Addiction is the symptom of an existing disease. It is actually more of an emotional crisis. It is more of an emotional disorder or an emotional problem than it is of a biological or behavioral or moral crisis. Because most people who are experiencing addictions of any kind, be it chemical addiction, that includes drugs, yeah? That includes drugs and other chemicals. Then we have behavioral addiction, which now encompasses behaviors that are addictive. We have addictive behaviors. Behaviors such as gaming, sex, betting, watching pornography. Those are some of behaviors that you can get addicted to. So, when you look at all kinds of addictions, all the types of addictions, you come to realize that there is something in common that is making this person to become on this drug. There's something underneath, something that is behind the scene that is actually pushing this person to become an addict. Because one thing I can tell you for a fact, one thing, is that addiction itself is not a personality deficiency. Someone does not become an addict because they lack morals. Also, on the same, addiction is not a weakness issue. It's not that this person is weak. They lack self-control. That is why they learn into addiction. That is why they became addicts. No. Also, addiction is not a choice, because nobody would ever choose to become an addict. Nobody would ever choose to follow the path of addiction, to get into the pit of addiction, and out of choice decide to live that kind of a life. Nobody would do that. Addiction is not also a weakness of character. It is not that somebody doesn't have good characters and that is why they became addicts. No. Those are some of the definitions that are commonly used to define addiction, but in reality, that is not what addiction actually is. So, when we are looking at addiction, we want to focus on the root cause, because everything that you see in the service, it has a deeply rooted cause. It's just the way when you see a tree, you cannot just think that all there is about the tree is what you can see on the surface. That would be a very misplaced and long understanding of that, or interpretation of the same. So they usually even say that as below, so above, so as above, so below. You might actually come to realize that what you are seeing above the surface is actually half of what is underneath the surface. Because when you go deep into the roots of a tree, you come to realize that actually the roots of the tree are deeply rooted. They are deeply connected than what you can see above the surface, than the branches and the leaves and the fruits. So we want to look at addiction with that perspective. Because addiction is not somebody's fault. You'll come to realize that. When someone is an addict, as I have said, they have not made a conscious choice of walking down that path. They have actually found themselves in that position. Because actually when you ask most people, how did you become an addict? Most of them have no idea. They will actually tell you, well, I was busy doing my work, living my life, doing my business, and somehow I realized I'm an addict. Yeah? So I cannot really be able to trace those conscious decisions or unconscious decisions and choices that I actually made to be where I am today. But somehow, here I am. So, most of the times, when, for example, you are being chased by an animal, let's say a lion, and when you're being chased by a lion, you're not really looking at where you are stepping, because your goal is to run as fast as possible away from the lion. That means at some point you will jump very tall fences and obstacles which you would not do under normal circumstances. And this is actually the same case when it comes to addiction. Because addiction comes in when someone is trying to learn away from something or trying to learn towards something. And that is why I started by telling you that addiction is more of an emotional issue than it is of a biological, moral, or whatever else kind of a definition it's commonly given. So most of the times, when someone has a crisis that they are dealing with, and especially trauma, because most addiction stories are deeply rooted in traumatic encounters and experiences. So when you ask most people, they'll tell you, well, you know, I'm like this because I started taking drugs around me to adjust my camera just a little bit. So someone is actually going to tell you that I am using drugs because I experienced this and this. Or I became an addict and I started using drugs because I was trying to look for this and that, to look for a connection, to look for somewhere I feel I belong, to look for somewhere I'll feel safe, loved, cared about, appreciated. So it is always that this person is either learning away from something or learning towards something. So most of the addiction stories are deeply rooted in trauma, and that is the major mistake that most people usually make, because there are so many people who usually try to heal the addiction by, or some even through medication, which is okay. You can use medication. You know, it's getting a little bit hot in here, so kindly allow me to remove this jacket of mine so that I don't start sweating. Okay? Yes. All right. What I'm saying is that sometimes most rehabs and healing centers, they actually use the approach of medication, which is okay, but only to numb, to lower, to try and neutralize the effects, the side effects of withdrawing from a drug, but not necessarily to treat. Because you cannot use medication to treat a psychological problem. You can only use to interfere with the chemical aspects of the possible cause of the disorder or mental illness. You can only try to interfere with chemicals because drugs are chemicals. And chemicals are meant to interact with chemicals in your body. So when there is chemical change, then you are able to neutralize the effects of especially the withdrawal from the drug. So at the same time, sometimes some of the rehabs will actually emphasize more on using of the drugs instead of resolving the emotional and the psychological major causes of this addiction. So when you treat addiction, instead of treating what is causing addiction, then you're making a big mistake, because you are treating a symptom instead of treating the disease. And if you try to treat the symptom, you might succeed, but the disease still remains, and it is going to surface with time. So when we are talking about addiction, I've told you most of the times, the people who get addicted, it is because they are trying to run away from something, or they are trying to run towards something. And usually it is, they are trying to look for a connection. they're looking for a sense of belonging, a sense of appreciation. So it is very challenging to find someone who has everything they want in life becoming addicted. Someone who has enough connection, someone who has enough support, emotional and moral and psychological support, plus now the financial. It is very challenging for that kind of a person to become an addict. And that is actually why you meet people who have been using drugs for probably a very long time, but they have not become addicts. Because this person is not using this drug as a way of trying to fill a void or find a connection or find something that is missing in them. No. This person is using this drug as a recreation. And so they are in control of how much, when, they're able to control the limits, or they're able to set the limits of how much they can be able to use. So, when we will be talking about addiction, we want to focus more on the psychological aspects of the same. Because most people are becoming addicts because there is something that they are missing in their lives. Because there is something that is already in their lives and they are trying to run away from it or eliminate it, or hide from it. So we want now to take the approach of focusing our energy on healing is trying to run away from. That which the person is trying to run towards. So that you don't find yourself in a position where you are punishing yourself or you are even getting punished because you are trying to find a way to cope or heal from something. Because when you become a drug addict, and then you actually apprehended by the law enforcement, they are not going to take it easy on you. They are going to lock you into a jail. They are going to sentence you, and you're going to spend the rest of your life under a punishment. But these people should actually not be punishing you. They should be helping you to find that which you feel you are lacking in your life. Because most of the times, you are using addiction, you are using this drug, you are using this behavioral addiction to try and fill a void of something that is missing. Or to try and eliminate something that is already in your life. So, if someone then can come and help you now to resolve this deficiency or to help you to get rid of this thing which is now a crisis in your life, then definitely you are going to heal. Yeah? So, nobody should be judged for being an addict. No. Don't judge someone who is an addict, saying that this person had no self-control, this person was not resilient, this person did this, did that, never asked for help, never did this, never did that. So never do that. Because everybody you meet in this life is a different possible version of yourself. And if it was you exposed to similar conditions in life, exposed to a similar environment, you'd probably have ended up where that person has ended up. So, don't judge someone because they chose a path which to you seems as an immorality, which to you seems as if it was not the best choice. They had so many other options, but they took that path. So never take it as that. Because every time you judge someone because of doing something in their lives, at the same time you also judge yourself. So we don't want to label these people as addicts because they made mistakes of choosing the wrong path. No, we want to expose to them and show them the possibility of the possible paths they should have taken, and the paths that they still have the ability, the potential, and the energy to still take. Different paths that will not lead them to the same destination that they are in right now. So, when we talk about addiction, addiction is related to dopamine. It is the reward and the pleasure chemical in our brain that is usually released when someone takes a drug or does something that elevates the level of dopamine, which is being normally released by the brain. So when you spike your dopamine levels with a drug, then your mind, your brain system gets used to releasing levels of dopamine based on how much drug you are using to provoke your body to release a high level of dopamine. So that is why when you try to stop, you realize that it's like your mind is working against you and your body is also working against you. Because according to your mind and your body, you want to stop doing something pleasant. Because the drug was giving you a certain euphoria, the drug was giving you a certain feeling, which was a reward. You know, you are being, your brain was being rewarded by taking the drug, by feeling good, by feeling excited, by feeling high. So now your mind is working against you because it doesn't want you to stop this thing which is present to the mind and present to the body because of the euphoria. But your consciousness tells you that this thing is negative, you need to stop because it is working against you, because it is hurting you, because it is making a mess out of your life. You had a marriage, a good relationship, now it's broken. You had a good job, a well-paying job, now it's gone. You had started a thriving business, now it's no more. You had strong connections with friends and family, all that is gone. So you want now to be able to go down on the dopamine that is being released by your brain. Yeah? So, and then you don't stop automatically. You don't wake up one morning and say, now from today, no more drugs. And then you expect that your brain or your mind is going to say, okay. So we just stop releasing the spiked levels of dopamine, the elevated levels of dopamine that we were releasing, and we'll stop just like that. You know, no, it's not going to work like that. So it's going to be a gradual change. You are going to walk towards healing, towards that. So your mind is going to take that step, but first of all, it's going to resist. But if you persist, then the resistance of your mind, of your brain, is going to be reduced or to decrease. So, a professor called Alexander did an experiment with rats. He did an experiment with rats to understand why do people, human beings, want to take drugs. And he caged this rat. He put this rat in a cage, and then he decided to put 2 bottles of water. One of the water bottles was spiked with heroin, or cocaine, and the other bottle of water was just clean, pure water. And after putting this rat in this cage alone with these two bottles, the rat immediately went for the water which was spiked with heroin, yeah, with cocaine. So the rat, after a short period of time, became addicted to this water, and it continued taking the water until it died after just a short while. But then he decided, why don't I change the environment and the parameters of the experiment, and then put the rat in its favorite natural environment, put some bushes in this environment, some caves, some a natural environment of a rat, and also put other rats in the cage, so that this rat in this environment, so that this rat is actually going to interact, socialize, play around with other rats. He also placed plenty of food, plenty of objects that this rat can play with, games and all that. Also in this environment, the rat was exposed to having as much sex as it can, because. And what was surprising is that this rat, in this next experiment, where now the parameters of the environment are changed, the rat never considered going for the water which was spiked with the drug. Yeah? Yes, at some point it could take the water which was spiked with the drug, but it never ever got addicted. So meaning that this rat moved from 100% addiction in a cage alone to 0% addiction, where the parameters of the environment are more favorable, and it can play, it can eat, it can socialize with rats. And then you come to realize that in reality, the environments which people are exposed to are actually the major causes of addiction. That when you find yourself in an environment where you are lonely, you have no connections, you have no social interactions, you are limited to the traumas, you are limited to the past experiences that you've had. And those experiences limit how much you can be able to spread your wings, to thrive, and to grow. That caging, that limitation, that deficiency of connection, deficiency of a safe environment where you can feel safe, you can feel connected, you can feel thriving, then that is the major cause of addiction. So you want to find a connection. Unfortunately, you find that connection in a drug, because it gives you that spike of dopamine. It gives you that euphoria, that dopamine rush that makes you feel good, that makes you temporarily forget about the negative things that you're trying to run away from. That is why I started by saying that we cannot blame, we cannot judge anybody who is deep into addiction. Why? Because something pushed them to be where they are. I am willing and ready to walk with you through this journey of healing, through this journey of recovery. And I'm not really going to focus on addiction. I'm not going to focus on the drug. I'm going to focus on what caused this drug. What this drug addiction? What made you make the choices that you made to be in this unpleasant position that you do not prefer? How then can we be able to recorrect this? Because healing from addiction is possible. You can heal 100% from an addiction. Yeah? So, we want to focus on the underlying root causes of this addiction, so at the moment we're able to attack that, then we know, and only then can we be sure that this issue of addiction is going to be something that you always and only share as a testimony. So walk with me as we do this. If you can be able to join us physically, feel free. Our meeting venue is Kenya, Kiambu County, along Thika Road, Kenyatta Road, Juja. So Juja, Kenyatta Road. So our office is just adjacent to the highway, so you don't have to travel far to see our office. But if you would like to get our location, you can either check it online or contact us. If you also want personalized sessions, if you also feel that, Elliot, I would like you to walk with me through this recovery journey on one-on-one, I want you to help me with this personal issue that I'm going through, then don't hesitate to contact me. My contact is 0713 550 493. 0713 550 493. I also want to tell you that in this journey of recovery, I'm not going to teach you to avoid your triggers. I'm not going to teach you how to run away from your triggers. No. I am going to teach you how to face your triggers head on, because you are going to discover that addiction is actually a blessing in disguise. That addiction is a gift, a messenger, a teacher that is coming to tell you that there is something that you need to look at. There is something that you need to address. There is something that you need to look at and address. So every time that you'll be looking at addiction, you'll come to realize that you should use addiction to your advantage, not try to run away from it. That you should use addiction not as an enemy, but as a friend who is trying to communicate something to you, who is trying to tell you that, well, there's something wrong here. You need to check on this. There's something that you have not resolved. There's something that you have not addressed. There's an issue which you have not been able to heal from properly. So addiction comes to unearth, to unfold, to expose some unresolved psychological issues, some unhealed psychological wounds that need to be opened up, exposed and expressed and healed clearly and once and for all. So I am here to make sure that your healing journey is going to be a journey which you are going to enjoy. Because you should be able to enjoy this recovery journey, so that when you get to the destination of this journey, you'll be proud and glad and happy that you walked this journey of recovery. Remember to invite your friends so that they can join us in this recovery journey. Remember to tell your friend that we are doing this, so that we can be able to do this together. At some point you come to realize that if you're not into chronic addiction, if your addiction is not at a level where we can call it chronic or severe, you may not even need to go to a rehab. That I can coach you. I have done that to many people. I can coach you from zero. Without necessarily having to go to a rehab, I coach you from zero. I take you through the steps. I take you through the healing. And you're going to recover 100%. Drugs will be a story of your past, not an experience of your present. Let us walk through this journey together. Let us help each other. Let me help you so that you can live a life which you personally, you feel it's a meaningful life that you've lived. So that you can be able to live a life which you're proud of. so that we can be able to live a life free of slavery and attachment to unhealthy behaviors and chemicals that are destroying and killing you in installments. Work with me. Remember to subscribe to this amazing YouTube channel, which is going to foster and skyrocket your addiction healing from other crises, healing from other life issues, healing from traumas, healing from abandonment issues, healing from all psychological issues, anxiety, stress, depression that you might be experiencing. Let me hold your hand so that we can walk through this journey of healing and recovery together. I use a different approach which makes sure that we go down deep into the root causes of the problem. And the moment we're able to expose that, the moment we are able to address that, then we are able to know exactly what we are dealing with. I'll be doing this live stream every Saturday, unless anything changes, but I'll be doing it every Saturday from 4 p.m. unless with the time I change, but I'll be updating you on that. You don't deserve to live a life in bondage of addiction. You don't deserve to live the kind of a life that you're living where you are ashamed of yourself, where you feel as though you're not good enough, whether you feel as though you are dead but you are alive, where you have lost all the connection, where you have lost everybody who cared about you. You don't deserve to live that kind of a life. And the kind of a life that you deserve to live is the life that I want to give you through this recovery journey. Walk with me then, so that with every step we take, it will be a step towards your recovery, not a step towards getting deeper into the pit, into the darkness of addiction. We don't want to get out of the darkness. We want to light up the room of addiction right where we are. We don't want to walk out of the room, the dark room of addiction. We don't want to walk out of the room, the dark room of addiction. What we want to do is right there, to light the candle, to light up that room with illumination of our decision making, with a strong, powerful illumination of our recognition of who we are, illumination of realization of the power and the energy that we have to break free from the chains of addiction. We are going to illuminate that room, that dark room of addiction, with our healing. Because you are going to realize that both light and darkness are a part of what we call a harmonious, balanced life. It is because of the darkness that the light is appreciated. Because they say it is in the background, in the dark background, that the bright objects are illuminated and reflected the most or the best. So thank you so much. Remember to share this video. Remember to subscribe to this channel. Remember to like this video if that's something that you feel you should. Because the moment you like this video, you make the YouTube algorithm to recommend this video to more people. And by just liking, subscribing, and sharing this video, you will be changing and transforming someone's life. Join hearts with me. Lives of many who are stuck into addiction, who cannot be able to see past addiction. And let us give them the message of recovery, where they are going to discover that for real, they can live a healthy, productive, promising life, free from addiction. Thank you so much. My name is Eliud Koge. I am a counseling psychologist, and I would like to help you go through whatever that you are going through. You can reach out to me, and I'm going to help you. Thank you so much. Have a blessed time. I don't know whether you are watching me in the morning, in the evening, at night, whatever the time, just have a nice time. And until we meet next, that is a date. Thank you so much. Blessings.